Good evening and welcome to this Week in Review. Tonight's stories include Museum project completed, icebergs near Smalls Island, Council report. These stories plus community events, the BBS Playbill, Off the Rack and more coming up after this.
It takes community to heal a village. In northern Mali, USC Canada works with local partners to find community-based ways to ensure mother-child health, food security, and jobs. Canadian agencies are helping to renew and strengthen communities throughout the developing world. This means greater opportunities for global villagers. Canadians in partnership, finding solutions that work.
On Wednesday of this week, we visited the museum to take a look at the finished project. All that remains to be done is giving the new floor another coat of wax and finishing up the litters for the road sign. This sign will be erected in the spring and will read, "Thanks for coming. Come again. Drive carefully." The blue and white floor tiles add new charm to the museum. Foreperson Bud Green told us that the school was making plans for the murals that will decorate the outside of the museum. The murals will be depicting Virgil, the new and old, will be painted all the way around the museum. We congratulate the workers on doing a great job with the renovations. On Monday of this week, Clyde Symes called our office informing us about a large number of icebergs near the Smalls Island. Indeed, there were icebergs, hundreds of them. All these little black dots are icebergs. Mr. Symes informed us that this is the first time in years he has seen this number of birds. He has also stated that from time to time you may see a few through the winter season, but nothing like this. And that's icebergs, right?
That's icebergs. No, the right name is clock. What do you call them?
We know them as icebergs, though, right?
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. Oh, so there's a lad on there.
Yeah, you come on up. You move your camera up further?
I'm right up now, right in Bristol Island.
Oh, you come on up a bit. Where's your...
Alright.
But you'll probably skip some patches there, like.
Yeah.
Oh.
No trouble seeing them now. So is that the first time you've seen them?
Yeah, that's most I've seen. I've been there 27 years.
Oh,
I've been there. Most of I've seen one time.
Okay, yeah, now I see them. They're all dotted all over.
Yes, you come on up.
Yeah,
Fair job
okay.
now. We just stopped filming and I take my glass and fight.
Yeah, okay. I'll keep on coming up this way. Yeah. Oh my lord. Yeah. They're not very big though, are they?
Oh.
Yeah. And you can't, and you're not allowed to kill them, right?
No, no.
Wow. Yeah, there's a lot of them there though. Yeah. 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 Okay, it's working. They're all a lot of them there, yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. They're just like little specks on the water, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you see many over this way, Chloe?
What?
Do you see very many icebergs like normally?
No, not that many. Not around here. Off this coast,
Yeah.
Rather than my boy.
Yeah.
Over the days. Yeah, I guess it's baiting.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And where the weather is calm today too, probably. Do they die?
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's a little wonder what you
Yeah.
thought.
Sometimes like you goes over like there and then you're there and you go back there's lots.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. They're feeding then, I guess.
There's a big bunch out there and
Oh, isn't it beautiful? Yeah, it certainly is. Yeah. Oh, there he goes. Wow, there is a lot of them there. Oh, not so many there now.
No, nothing there too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you focus around me there?
Yeah. 2 or 3 of them, they're flying now. Now over to Mayor Ann with the council report.
Good evening. Burgeo Town Council held its regular meeting at 2 p.m. on Tuesday, February the 6th. The reason for the change of time of that meeting was that number one, the town manager had hospital appointments in Corner Brook, which he couldn't change, and it was very necessary that he would make those appointments. So therefore, he would not be able to make the meeting on Wednesday evening. Also, the FPI hearings at Stephenville is scheduled for Wednesday evening, and I would be attending that. And given we had a snowstorm and we could get a quorum, there was 6 councillors present, it was decided that we would go ahead with our meeting, our first regular meeting for the month of February at 2 o'clock on Tuesday. Items up for discussion at the meeting with regard to the water system, there's not much more to say. One councillor raised the topic of the condition of our distribution lines, that's our pipes around town, and would this interfere with the distribution of the water? In other words, what we would gain through the filtration system, would we lose it again when it came out into the distribution system? Personally, we don't think that there's a problem there. For one thing, we're getting good water through the system now, according to the Department of Health, so we can't see that diminishing. However, as we get into it, that will be one more step, and if this is the case, well then, if the distribution lines have got to be completely what they call pigged out or cleaned out, flushed out, whatever is necessary, then we'll have to take that step when the time comes. Regarding the fish plant, There's nothing new to report other than that the meeting did take place between Carino government and Barrie on the 23rd. Reports back to us is that Mr. Barrie is still showing an interest in setting up a tannery here in Burgeo, so we've just got to take that from day to day. There's some discussion around and a letter was received regarding the flooding at the trailer park. A couple of times a year when we have exceptional high tides, there's a flooding which occurs there. The town has went to our engineer, which is Atlantic Engineering in Corner Brook, and to repair this problem, to take care of this problem, is in the vicinity of $250,000 according to the engineer. Naturally, this town can't afford that kind of money. However, the residents there have made a suggestion on their own with regard to maybe which way the thing could be taken care of, and council have noted that and will be taking this suggestion up with our engineer to see if it has any merit, and certainly if it does and it's not too expensive, we certainly would take care of it. The Coast Guard, the facility the Coast Guard is going to build here in Burgeo, the town manager had discussions with Mr. Bennett. There's full plans of this development going ahead in the area where the old Irving Wharf is, but it's all pending on funding which the Coast Guard will get, I guess, in April of this year. So in that respect, the town will be submitting a letter to Coast Guard and asking them to give the town the option for the first option for the site that they're presently using in Burgeo Harbor. We're not sure if the town would need that. It may have some possibilities with regard to tourism or some other facility that Burgeo might want in Burgeo. So therefore, unlike the government shed, we're trying to get our foot in the door first and to see if we can at least have the first option to acquire that property should we have a use for it. And in regard to the government shed, it's apparently the court case did go ahead on the 28th and 29th. The case was heard. The judge have not rendered a decision. He's taking some time before he comes down with his decision, so we've got to wait and hear from that. And I've got to be quite honest with you. If the government wins this one, then it's the first one they've won in a long time. But let's hope they do for the sake of Burgeo, because that is a good piece of property sitting there doing nothing and going to do nothing while it's in the hands of what's the name of it, this fishing company anyway. We had a request from some organization here in Newfoundland, I think it originated in Marystown, with regard to trying to solicit a donation for the Afghan children. The Burgeo Town Council has a policy with regard to what they give to charities and things of that nature, and we saw no reason to depart from this, so the Burgeo Town Council will not be making a donation to this charity. Names for the museum, quite a number of names came in. They were tabled. Councillors have taken them, and at our next meeting it is possible that we will decide on a name, or we will decide how we will choose the name. But anyway, thank the people who did submit names for the museum, and Council will be taking care of that in the very near future. Another item which received a fair amount of discussion was our loader, I believe it's a 515 or a 915, the dresser loader. We experienced some terrible trouble in it during the week. It came on all of a sudden. The block is split. The liners are gone. The pistons are gone. One of the heads is split. Well, that's not too important to you. Mostly, I guess, is the fact that we're talking $12,000+ before it's back in serviceable condition again. Just what caused that, we don't know. We'd like to get a written report from the mechanic as to saying, boy, this happened. This machine is not old. It haven't received a lot of use, and for this to happen overnight, you know, it just makes one wonder, but at the same time, you're going to be out $12,000+ before it's repaired. Another item came up was a complaint, and there have been complaints with regard to TWIR picking and the feathers blowing all over the place here in Burgeo. Now, it seemed to be a consensus that the councillors certainly doesn't support this happening, and the people, the general public at large, is not supporting it on account of, or else we wouldn't be getting complaints. Therefore, the town manager has been instructed to check with other towns who brought in regulations to ban this practice. We're also having the lawyer look at our anti-littering regulations to ensure that our regulations do take care of this. And also we will be checking with the RCMP to see if we put in regulations, if we need them. It's possible that our present regulations do cover it fully. Will they do the enforcement? Because there's no point in bringing in regulations unless we've got enforcement to go with it. So anyway, that's the situation there with regard to, for any of you who've got complaints regarding the TWIR picking outside and the feathers blowing all over the place. Deputy Mayor Linehan reported on the school and the murals with regard to the museum, and that seems to be progressing quite well. It is really favorable, and so we're quite optimistic that before this summer is out and before the school year ends, that the students at the school, under the leadership, I believe, of Mr. Bernard Benoit, will be presenting to council a model of the library and how they foresee it to look after they're finished, and will take on the job of doing it. And I must say that council is really, really appreciative of this. And in fact, there's several areas around town where murals could be painted if we have people who are so inclined. And if you are inclined, by all means, contact council and register your plans for doing such a thing. And I feel certain that you will certainly have the support of this council. Recreation facilities in Burgeo and the Recreation Fund, which the council is presently holding, came up for discussion, and council would really, really like to spend this money and contribute to recreation within the town. It's time to get something done. And in that regard, Mr. John Grant, John has taken the initiative that he will head up a committee. Just how John will proceed to get members on that committee is up to John. He will represent council. He hopes to pick up people from the public at large and deal with this situation as to what should we do and what is the most feasible and the best for Burgeo. So if any of you got any ideas on that, I'm sure if you contact John or you want to be part of this, you contact John, and I'm sure that in the weeks to come, or the week probably to come, John will be making announcements and planning his strategy with regard to what type of facility we need in Burgeo. And when we're talking recreation, we're not exactly saying a hockey rink. Maybe there's some other alternative. I don't know what. But maybe there's something that could be put in Burgeo that will really give us better bang for our buck. But that's beside the point. Not prejudging, not trying to say where you should go. But anyway, John has taken on this project. Wish John the best. And for you people out there who are interested, especially in recreation, maybe it's a time to get together and brainstorm and see what should be done. The rest of the council meeting was really routine, what I call routine business. Snow clearing came in for some discussion, and along with that, it's been noticed that there's been some really, what you call outright deliberate throwing of snow out in the roadway, even to the point of blocking off a lane right out to the yellow line. And this was seen by citizens of this town. And so therefore the town manager is instructed to publish the snow clearing regulations on BBS, and the RCMP will be contacted to enforce them. So you know, you just can't shovel out your driveway and throw all the snow out in the middle of the street. It's just not allowed to be done, and therefore council is determined that they will do something about it. And that's it for council for this week.
Stay tuned for more of This Week in Review coming up after this.
Communication is the beginning of understanding, and understanding is the basis for problem solving. USC Canada believes communication should know no borders. A farmer's field in Ethiopia offers innovation for old problems in Nepal. A community seed bank in Bangladesh sparks ideas for one in Mali. All over the developing world, Canadians in global partnership, finding solutions that work.
While Mayor Ann was visiting our studio for the council report, we spoke to him about other topics that wasn't covered in the regular report. Mayor Ann, last week when I was on one of the outings I usually goes on, some residents approached me about finding about low water pressure. I know one area you mentioned was Muddy Hole up on the hill, and the other one was up there where Blaine Marks and Mr. Sutton and those folks live, and apparently they're experiencing really, really low water pressure. And he said, wonder if anybody ever thought about or considered a water tower.
Well, a water tower, Marie, I guess is something that we could look at. However, when you're considering a water tower, you know, you're probably looking at something like $750,000. So therefore, we'd have to get the funding. That's item one. Number two, you know, there's no town would go for a water tower unless it was essential that you would have to have a water tower. The reason being, of course, you know, you've got to have big pumps. You're not talking like little sump pumps or anything like that to pump the water to that tower. And given the abuse of water in this town, you know, you would really have to have a good pumping system to just take care of the amount of water that's consumed in Burgeo, which is astronomical and outrageous. So I guess what I'm saying is that we get right back to the problem of the abusive running of water within the town, and I would say that is probably even a major contributor to the low water pressure which these individuals are experiencing. So the only way I can see that could be taken care of would be for not to put, even if there was a water tower put in, it would probably have to be something done in the form of servicing those areas only, and not the old town. And in which case, you know, it's probably would be to anyone who's experiencing this. It's probably the only way that I can recommend out of it is to purchase a pressure pump and put in your own pressure pump. Now, that's one thing, and then the other thing would have to be looked at. If we're going to increase the pressure of our system around town, we'd have to then probably start looking at what the condition of our pipes are in the distribution system, because the system now is, what is it? It's, you're getting into 30 plus years old. So if you start jumping the pressure there up, then you're probably going to start ending up with leaks all over the place. So, you know, I'm not saying it's something that can't be looked at, and maybe after our present system is installed, a check on the pressure and run it by our engineers, the consultants, and see what we're looking at. But personally, I'm not looking at it as being a very high priority thing for this town, or at least that's the way I see it.
So what you're saying is because people are running water during the winter season, some residents are experiencing a drop in water pressure.
Oh yes, most definitely. I mean, this occurs when we're flushing the lines. There's some people who lose their water completely, and this is because, well, of course, you know, there's such a volume being drawn that it's just not enough to push it up to the higher elevations. And I'll say this in all honesty again, you know, that there is certain areas of town that that the people do need to run their water and to keep it from freezing. But there's such a thing as running water, and running water responsibly as well. You know, you don't need to run off 5 gallons a minute just to keep your line from freezing. That's just not necessary. And then we've got areas, and I know you're aware of some, where there's lots of mud and there's no need of people having their water running, and it should be looked at. And I mean, there is, I see it in public buildings here in Burgeo, you know, that it's running, you know.
From the town perspective, can you tell which areas where water shouldn't be running and areas where water should be running? And is that an option to approach the residents in that area and say, well, really there's not necessary for you to be running your water, but you are, or in this area, particular area where there's not much cover, you can say, yes, we understand that you need to. Would that alleviate the problem, I wonder?
It would, and it's a known fact that in the Messers area, I mean, these people did not come under the original installation of water, which was done by McNamara. So therefore, these people has got a problem. Their lateral lines weren't put into proper specifications. Make no mistake about it. I mean, the town certainly can't run away from that. But in the more central, older part of Burgeo, where McNamara did the installation, beyond a word of a doubt, most of those water lines are deep enough, and there should be no need for anyone to be running water. Certainly, there shouldn't be a need to start running it as early in the year as they start. I mean, we got people running water in September. I know it, I've seen it. And so, you know, this is one thing. And certainly the town cannot, or I don't think they should, look at increasing pressure so that it can accommodate the abusive use of water. I don't think that's an option which the town should even look at. And like I say, no doubt there is people on those higher elevations do experience a reduction in pressure. I'm sure that given the height of the dam, what could be done if a person can look at the height of their house, the elevation of the dam, and I mean, we could give that to an engineer and he can almost calculate right to the pound as to what pressure they should be getting, and then you could run a check and see what they're actually getting. So, you know, that's something that can be checked out. And no, I really have got to say that I don't think that you would find engineers would be recommending us to go to a water tower unless it is essential.
Okay. Now, in your report, you mentioned snow clearing. Well, I'll say the first major storm that we had that dumped some snow on us. Some residents seem to feel that the roads weren't plowed adequately enough. The streets were narrow in some places, and they felt that Clayton going around in this truck with the grader on front didn't adequately do the job. Is there a reason for that?
Well, it's kind of interesting that you brought this up, and if you took notice too in my report, I did mention that snow clearing came up for discussion, and yes, Council did bring this up very, very clearly, that the use of this truck is causing problems. This truck has its limitations, beyond a word of a doubt, and councillors did note and take notice to the way the intersections was being done, and that you know, the truck just wasn't pushing it off. The truck is not capable of pushing it off. It's just that simple. So I think council have dealt with this, and I must say I did get quite a few complaints, and I guess you were getting them as well, because I certainly didn't prompt you to ask me that question.
No.
So I don't want anyone out there thinking, no, he put her up to that question, because I most certainly didn't. So
No,
I'm glad that you came up with it, so that, you know, people will get the impression that it's just not councillors who's coming and are about complaints for something to do. It's quite a legitimate complaint. However, even if the snow clearing is not up to spec, I have got to say that doesn't give anyone the excuse to shovel their driveways out in the street. I mean, two wrongs don't make a right.
Well, yes, I agree. Going up to the main road, you can see where people have dug out their driveways, and there's been quite a pile up of snow to the sides, which, like yesterday, for example, which was Tuesday, I'm sorry, that with the school closure, if the school had been going and the amount of snow that was building up in places, and 2 vehicles passing, which was, you know, a limited space, and then put the kids there, you would have quite a dangerous situation in some places in our community.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you do have a snow clearing policy in place.
Oh, there is a snow clearing regulations and snow clearing policy in place. There's regulation which covers off this dumping of snow out of your driveway into the street. And like I say, this was brought up at council. The manager has been told to get onto it, and he will be contacting the RCMP with regard to enforcing of that policy. And I'm not fully cognizant of all the details of the snow clearing regulations and policy. You know, it's not my place to be. But I do know that we do have a policy in place, and the way the snow is cleared, I think they try to clear the main thoroughfares first, because there's no point coming off a side road and getting onto the main road, and then because you're just not going nowhere. So you just got to clean up the main arterials first. I think they give the hospital a bit of priority. Then they get on to the narrower streets and so on, and it do take time, and anybody knows we're going to have complaints on snow clearing. I don't think there's a town in Newfoundland that doesn't have it. But I think we're trying to do our best, and I guess unless you've lived somewhere else and talked to people from somewhere else, I was talking to a person this summer who informed me, and I'm talking about in Toronto, that you could be on a street and it's no good for you to phone City Hall until after the storm has been over for 24 hours. Now, we're not that big, and we know that we don't need that. But I think our plows are out. We're getting them out. We're trying to get them out, trying to do our best. And from time to time, maybe things need to be brought to attention, you know, that the right thing is not being done, and we're trying to do that. So all I can say is the deal with the truck, council was aware of it, and that we're trying to take care of that. The truck does a good job for a little bit of snow, but when we get the kind of snowfall we've had lately, it's not the place for that truck.
Maybe a good piece of advice is to our residents is to exercise a little bit of patience.
Yeah, that's patience is a virtue. I'm sorry that I don't usually have enough of that, but it is.
Okay, well, we certainly thank you for talking with us on those 2 subjects today.
Okay, Marie, thank you.
The walls at the school are sporting some new paintings done by students in the art class. Here's a look. So, Mayor Ann, we meet again.
That's right. It seems like it's quite often this week.
It's been a busy week.
Yeah.
Do you want to share some of the information that you have with us today?
Well, really, Marie, I think most of the people in Burgeo are aware, or they've heard something. I know because people have been asking me about certain things. I'd say about a month ago at least, Mr. Barry made an application. He shut down the operation in Canso and made application for 3,000 metric ton of redfish to be used at Canso. The application was made, and it's only in the last week we heard where the new minister, Mr. Thibault, had turned thumbs down. That was a couple of days ago, that he didn't approve the Canso, the 3,000 allocation for sea freeze for Canso. And about 24 hours later, in fact, after that came out, I believe it was Mr. Jerry Byrne who made the announcement that he had good news for the South Coast, that the minister had turned thumbs down on the allocation of 3,000 metric ton for Nova Scotia. Well, that was one day, and about 24 hours after that, there was a statement out from Mr. Thibault, or from his office, saying that that wasn't true, that he had not reached a decision either to approve or disapprove the allocation for Nova Scotia. So, you know, one thing after the other. Now, Mr. Matthews was on and made a statement. I didn't hear it. Some people did, but wasn't quite sure of what they heard. They asked me about. And anyway, I was talking to Bill today after receiving this letter. He followed up with a phone call, and he said there was a newspaper, I don't know which one, that clearly stated, you know, that the minister had turned thumbs down on this allocation. So he said so it's a mix-up. Jerry Byrne was quite true in making the statement that he did make, that it was turned down, and Bill thought it had been turned down. So anyway, the short and long of it is that in view of this and the correspondence which has occurred between Bill and the minister's office and so on, he decided to follow up with some of his verbal representation made on our behalf in the form of a letter to the minister. Now, he sent me a copy of that letter, and, well, I'll read it. It won't take all that long, but anyway, it says, Dear Mr. Minister, I am writing regarding the ongoing debate about the possible transfer of redfish quotas between Newfoundland and Labrador and Nova Scotia. Minister, there has been a proposal at your department for the past 2 years regarding an allocation of redfish for processing at two communities in my riding, Burgeo and Ramia. The proposal came as a result of a forum held at Burgeo, Newfoundland, attended by Mr. Bill Barry of Sea Freeze Incorporated, to seek potential resources to reactivate the two processing plants at Burgeo and Ramia. The proposal asked for redfish, particularly from Fishing Zone 3.0, that has not been harvested by National Sea Products and Fishery Products International, the two companies that have enterprise allocations of the redfish. I have contended in past meetings with your officials that these companies should not be allowed to keep enterprise allocations if they are not going to harvest the fish and provide much needed employment. The fish is not owned by the companies in question. The resource is a common property resource managed by the Government of Canada on behalf of all Canadians. The proposal submitted to your department asked for a redfish allocation for Burgeo and Ramia from on-caught enterprise allocations. As part of the proposal, Sea Freeze Incorporated has also offered to participate with your department in carrying out much-needed scientific research on redfish stocks that would be in everyone's best interest. Now, this was a proposal that Bill submitted some 2 years ago to get redfish for Burgeo. The main reason for my letter is to advise you that about 2 years ago, I, on behalf of my communities, have submitted a proposal requesting redfish. We have also requested consideration from your department for allocations of offshore crab and shrimp. Minister, it would certainly be unfair and unacceptable for redfish or any other fish resource to be allocated to Nova Scotia in light of our long-standing requests, which to date has not met with any success. I am available to discuss this situation with you at your convenience. Sincerely yours, Bill Matthews, MP, Bjorn St. George's. So, you know, in light of this, I thought that it would be good to pass this information on to the people of the town and there's no action needed or anything like that. And any follow-up, I'll certainly pass that on. But I guess what it is more or less that even though we've made trips trying to get crab, trying to get shrimp, trying to get redfish, that each one of these efforts is still not dead yet, and is still being any chance to put it on the front burner and put it before the minister. Someone is taking the opportunity to do just that.
Did you confirm that the federal minister of fisheries, indeed add thumbs down to the cancel?
Well, like I
redfish
say,
proposal?
according to Bill, that the release in the newspaper, now that's where they got it from,
Okay.
him and Jerry Byrne, that definitely he had turned thumbs down on it.
Okay.
And but no, I believe it came to the house of the floor of the House of Commons, and he said no, there's some error there that he have not decided one way or the other to
Okay.
approve or disapprove the
Okay.
redfish for Nova Scotia. So it's just good to know that someone is still bugging the minister with regard to that. If you got spare fish, well, we can certainly use it
Yeah.
this way.
That's what our next question was going to be, that if it was the former, that he did turn thumbs down on cancel, that would mean something probably positive for us. Not saying, yes, you would get it,
No.
but it would be a positive move?
Well, let's put it this way: if there's a supply allocation of fish out there, it certainly can't go two places.
Okay.
So if he had approved it for cancel, well, then definitely we know that was out. We wouldn't get it. So I suppose you could look at the thing that if he had disapproved it, well, then you still got a chance. It's just like winning the lotto. As long as nobody have won it, you still got a chance until someone wins it, and your chance is over for that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, or?
No, I think that's just
Okay.
it. I just wanted to inform the people of this, that this redfish thing is not going on without someone objecting to what
Okay.
Nova Scotia is trying to do or Bill is trying to do, and we feel that if it is given, then it should come to us.
Okay. Thanks you very much for coming in.
You're welcome.
Stay with us for Off the Rack, the community events, and the BBS Playbill, all after this.
Communication is the beginning of understanding, and understanding is the basis for problem solving. USC Canada believes communication should know no borders. A farmer's field in Ethiopia offers innovation for old problems in Nepal. A community seed bank in Bangladesh sparks ideas for one in Mali. All over the developing world, Canadians in global partnership, finding solutions that work.
Off the Rack. This week, as we scanned our tape rack, we came across some winter scenes of Greenwich River. Let's look back to February the 10th, 1991.
Good evening and welcome to the current event segment of tonight's broadcast. I'm Jennifer Marks. The winner of the Lioness TV Bingo was Sylvia Han. Congratulations, Sylvia. There is no TV Bingo scheduled for next week. The next scheduled TV Bingo is Wednesday, February 20th at 7 p.m. The school snack program is seeking 2 people who are willing to volunteer their time on Wednesdays. This would only be for half an hour at recess time. Anyone interested, please call Valerie at 886-1555. February 10th to 16th is National Teacher Staff Appreciation Week. If you are looking for ways to show your appreciation to teachers and staff, why not volunteer for recess duty for a day, bring a tray of cookies, send a card, or even keep the tradition of bringing the teacher an apple. Be creative and let's make this a fun week for the teachers and staff at our schools. The Grand Search and Rescue Team and the Bridgeville Lioness Club will be hosting a skidoo ride again this year. The trip will take place on February 23rd or 24th to Grand Britt, depending on the weather. If the weather is not suitable, then it will take place the following weekend. Sponsor sheets are now available from the Grand Search and Rescue Building on Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. If you do not wish to get sponsors, you can pay a registration fee of $15. There are great prizes to be won, including prizes for sponsors. Each Saturday at 6 p.m. on VOCM Radio, Bridgeville residents can now play Radio Bingo. There are 4 games to win, including 1 game for $500, 1 game for $1,000, and the escalating jackpot game can grow to $7,500. Cards cost $2.50 per package and can be picked up at the Foodland store. Part of the sale of the bingo cards goes towards the Bridgeville Lions. Join in the fun and play Radio Bingo each Saturday at 6 p.m. If your group or organization has an upcoming event planned, we will be happy to advertise it for you. Just call the BBS office by Wednesdays of each week to have items included in this portion of our broadcast. That concludes the community event segment of tonight's broadcast. See you next week.
And I'll be here again next week with This Week in Review. For This Week in Review, I'm Marie Rose. Good night and God bless.